If your couch looks like it grew a second dog, this is the fix. One 15-minute routine once a week, and most of that loose fur ends up in the brush instead of on your floors, your clothes, and your car seats. I will show you the exact tool and the exact technique, and why it works, because shedding runs on a cycle you can actually control. So give me 2 minutes on how the coat actually works first. Once you see the machine, every fix in this video stops being a trick and starts being obvious. Every hair on your dog is on a timer. It grows for a while, and that growing phase is called anagen. Then it stops growing, a short handoff called catagen. Then it rests. That resting phase is telogen, and here is the detail that matters. A telogen hair is already dead, but it is still anchored in the follicle, hanging there like a coat on a hook. Weeks or months later, the follicle finally lets go. The hair drops, and even that release has its own name, exogen. That is shedding. Nothing is broken. The follicle is simply clearing space for the next hair to grow in, the same way your own scalp quietly drops 50 to 100 hairs a day. Now, why does your dog seem to shed 100 times more than you do? Because most of the famous shedders, the huskies, the goldens, the shepherds, the corgis, wear 2 coats at once. Picture a cross-section of the skin. From each little cluster of follicles rises one long, coarse guard hair. That is the top coat, the shiny raincoat, the layer that repels weather and gives the breed its color. Packed in around it grow dozens of short, soft, crimped undercoat hairs. That is the down jacket, the insulation. And the undercoat is the troublemaker. It cycles fast, it releases in bulk, and every one of those hairs is so fine and light that it floats. It weaves itself into upholstery. It drifts into rooms your dog has never even visited. Then the seasons pile on. A double-coated dog reads day length and temperature, and twice a year, that reading flips a switch. In spring, and for many dogs again in fall, thousands of undercoat hairs slide into the release phase at almost the same time. Groomers call it blowing coat. If you live with a husky, you know it looks less like shedding and more like the dog is quietly exploding. One more twist, because it explains the year-round misery. Our dogs live indoors now, under artificial light, with heating and air conditioning holding the temperature steady in every season. That flattens the old 2-wave rhythm, so plenty of indoor dogs skip the big spring blowout and give you a steady fur drizzle across all 12 months instead, with a spike in early summer. Sound familiar? It is July. Half the dogs coming through my exam room are blowing coat as we speak. So here is the whole game in one sentence. At any moment, your dog is carrying thousands of dead, released hairs that have not fallen yet, and everything I show you today does one of 2 things. It pulls those hairs out on your terms, into a brush, or it keeps the skin and coat healthy enough that fewer hairs break loose before their time. Which brings us to the tool from the title. It is called an undercoat rake. It looks like a tiny garden rake, 1 row of rounded metal pins on a handle, and a basic one costs a few dollars at any pet store. That is the weapon for double coats and long coats. If your dog wears a short single coat, a boxer, a beagle, a pitty, skip the rake, because there is not much undercoat down there to reach. Use a rubber curry brush or a grooming mitt instead, and the same routine applies. Match the tool to the coat, not to the marketing, because a plain rake used correctly will outpull a $50 branded tool used wrong. I have watched it happen in my own parking lot. The technique is called line brushing, and this is the part almost nobody teaches. Most people brush a dog the way they pet a dog, long strokes across the top. That polishes the guard hairs and never touches the undercoat, which is where the entire problem lives. So work in layers instead. Lift a section of coat with your free hand until you can see a clean line of skin, like parting hair. Rake the layer below that part, from the skin outward, always in the direction the hair grows. Let a little coat fall back down. Part a new line just below it, and rake again. You move across the body in rows, back of the hips first, then forward along the sides, then the chest and the fluffy pants, and the rake lifts out that dead telogen undercoat before gravity can deliver it to your sofa. 2 rules keep this safe, and I need you to hold on to both. First, light pressure, always. The rake glides through coat. It never scrapes skin. Dragging hard over the same spot gives a dog what groomers call brush burn, a patch of red, irritated skin she will then lick and chew at all week, and now your shedding fix has created a skin problem. If you catch yourself digging, stop and take a thinner layer. Second, keep sessions short. 15 minutes once a week is the whole maintenance dose from the title. During a coat blow, trade it for 5 relaxed minutes a day instead of 1 heroic hour on Saturday. You collect the same mountain of fur, and the skin never gets sore, and the dog keeps thinking of the rake as a massage. One honest caution while we are in the brush aisle. The blade-style de-shedding tools, the ones with a fine metal comb edge, genuinely work. But that edge can slice healthy guard hairs and irritate skin when it is overused, and a sliced topcoat grows out looking chewed. If you already own one, use it sparingly, a few passes during peak blow. Let the plain rake do the weekly work. A few summers back, a client brought me Scout, a 3-year-old golden, and asked about allergy testing because, in her words, his fur was falling out by the handful. It was the first week of July. Scout was not sick. Scout was blowing coat, and nobody had ever shown her line brushing. We did one lesson right there in the exam room, hip to shoulder, layer by layer. A week later, she sent the front desk a photo of a grocery bag packed with undercoat sitting next to a slimmer, shinier dog, with a caption saying she had worn black pants that morning for the first time in 3 years. Now, maybe you do not want to meet the coat blow 5 minutes at a time. There is a way to fast forward most of it in a single afternoon, and it happens to be exactly what a groomer sells as the de-shedding package for $60 to $90. A bath, a real dry, and a full brush out. Here is why it works. Warm water and shampoo loosen the undercoat that is already sitting in the release phase, primed to drop. So bathe her in lukewarm water, massage a dog shampoo down through the coat to the skin, and rinse for longer than feels reasonable, because leftover shampoo itches. Then dry her completely. Towel first, then a dryer on cool or warm, never hot, and watch what happens while you dry. Loose undercoat lifts away in little clouds, right there over the tub instead of over your carpet. Once she is bone dry, finish with a complete line brushing pass. The fur that would have drifted across your house for the next 3 weeks comes out in one session, on your schedule, into a bag you can tie shut. 2 warnings, and both of them protect the skin. Do not overbathe. A dog's skin wears a thin film of natural oil, and washing too often strips it away, which leaves the skin dry, itchy, and out of balance. And dry, irritated skin sheds more, not less. For most dogs, a proper de-shedding bath when the coat blow peaks, plus occasional baths through the rest of the year, is plenty. And never reach for human shampoo, not even the gentle baby kind. Dog skin sits at a different pH than ours, closer to neutral where ours runs acidic, so a product built for human skin dries and irritates theirs. A basic dog shampoo costs a few dollars and respects the skin it was designed for. Everything so far removes hair that is already dead. The next 2 fixes work earlier in the cycle. They help the body grow stronger hair, so less of it snaps and releases ahead of schedule, and that story starts at the skin barrier. Think of the skin barrier as the soil this whole coat grows from. When that soil is dry, flaky, and quietly inflamed, hairs come in brittle, they break, and they let go early. Omega-3 fatty acids, the EPA and DHA in fish oil, work on exactly that layer. Inside the skin, they turn down the production of inflammatory signals, the little chemical alarm bells that keep skin irritated, and calmer skin means less itching, less dandruff, and hair that stays anchored for its full run through the cycle. That is the mechanism behind something groomers have noticed forever. Dull, overshedding coats so often turn glossy once fish oil shows up in the bowl. If you saw our budget swaps video, you have already met fish oil. Here is how to use it properly for the coat. Buy a product made for dogs, never your own human capsules, because human supplements can carry sweeteners like xylitol or other extras that are toxic to dogs. Dose by your dog's body weight, exactly as the label directs, and start below the full dose for a few days so the stomach can adjust. Run it past your vet first, especially if your dog takes any medication. And be patient, because this is coat renovation, not a light switch. The stronger hair has to grow in on its own timetable, so give it a good few weeks before you judge the results. The cost lands around $0.10 a day, which might be the cheapest line in this whole video. While we are working from the inside, look at the food bowl, because hair is roughly 95% protein, and growing a full coat can use up to a third of a dog's daily protein budget. A dog eating an incomplete or bargain bin diet is trying to build a house without lumber, and the result is a dull, brittle, overshedding coat that no brush can fix from the outside. The fix costs nothing extra, because you are already buying food. You do not need boutique kibble or a raw influencer plan. You need the bag to say complete and balanced, with an AAF's statement on the label, which tells you the protein, the fatty acids, and the minerals that follicles run on are actually in there. Keep fresh water down at all times too, since dehydrated skin sheds more. And keep one pattern in your back pocket. If the coat went downhill within a couple of months of a food change, you may have already found your culprit. Every July, somebody asks me this, always out of love. It is so hot out, should I just shave him down? And I want to save you here, because for a double-coated dog, the answer is never. Do not shave a husky, a golden, a shepherd, or any double-coated breed to stop the shedding, because it fails on every single count. Start with the obvious one. It does not stop the shedding. The undercoat is the fast-growing layer, so it comes right back and keeps on releasing, only now as short prickly stubble that needles into fabric instead of fluff you can rake out. Meanwhile, you have stripped away the dog's climate system. That double coat traps a layer of air that buffers heat in summer, the same way it holds warmth in winter. And it shades the skin, so a shaved double-coated dog overheats more easily and can genuinely sunburn. And here is the part that breaks hearts at my clinic. The coat may never come back right. Undercoat regrows quickly, and guard hairs regrow slowly, so the undercoat can crowd the guard hairs out, and the dog regrows a patchy, woolly, discolored version of his old coat. There is a name for the worst outcome: post-clipping alopecia, where patches simply never regrow at all. The heat relief your dog actually needs is sitting in this video already. Rake out the dead undercoat and the coat opens up. Air moves through it again, and the insulation that remains does its job in both directions. The brush, never the clippers. While the routine does its work, a few $0 habits shrink the fur you actually live with. Lay a washable throw blanket on the one spot she truly sleeps. Shake it outside and wash it weekly, because fur that lands on a $10 throw never lands on your couch. During coat blow, take the whole brushing routine out to the porch and let the birds carry the undercoat off for their nests, which is the only recycling program that has ever made me smile. Keep the water bowl full through these air-conditioned months, roughly an ounce of water per pound of dog per day, since AC dries the air and dry skin lets go of more hair. Vacuum little, and often instead of rarely and heroically. And keep life calm where you can, because a stressed body sheds harder. None of this is glamorous. All of it adds up. Now the most important minute of this video, and I will say it as plainly as I know how. A brush reduces shedding. It does not fix hair loss. Your job as the person who knows this dog best is to tell the two apart. Normal shedding, even ugly, dramatic, July grade shedding, is diffuse. It comes evenly from the whole body. The coat stays full, and the skin underneath stays calm, smooth, and covered. Hair loss looks different, and it is a medical sign, not a grooming problem. So I want you at your vet, not in the brush aisle, if you see any of these. Shedding that suddenly ramps up hard with no season to blame. Patchy thinning, or outright bald spots. Skin that is red, itchy, inflamed, or raw. Scabs, sores, crusts, or an odd smell coming off the skin. Or heavy shedding that shows up with a different dog attached, one who is suddenly tired, gaining or losing weight, or drinking far more water than usual. Those signs point at real causes that no rake can touch. Mange mites, fleas, and other parasites, bacterial or fungal skin infections including ringworm. Allergies. And hormonal disease, an underactive thyroid or Cushing's disease, conditions that quietly reshape the coat while they work on the rest of the body. Every one of those is treatable, and most are diagnosed with simple tools: an exam, a skin scrape, sometimes a blood test. The saddest cases I see are the dogs who spent 6 months getting new brushes for a thyroid problem. If the fur is telling you something changed, let a vet look at the skin. That is not overreacting. That is you reading your dog correctly. So here is your week. 1 rake, a few dollars, 15 minutes on the porch with light pressure, layer by layer. A de-shedding bath when the blow peaks. Fish oil in the bowl once your vet gives the nod. An honest look at the food bag, a full water bowl, and the clippers left in the drawer where they belong. The fur was never random. It runs on a cycle, and starting this week, you are the one steering it. And I genuinely want to hear from you, because the comments under shedding videos are always the best ones on the internet. What breed sheds the most in your house? And how bad does it really get? Husky people, golden people, shepherd people, state your case below, and I read everyone. If someone you love is vacuuming twice a day right now, send them this video. They need the rake more than they need sympathy. Until then, give your best friend a scratch behind the ears for me tonight. This is Dr. Ellie Hart, and I will see you in the very next video.